on the screen, my favorite man. Crafty's on the TV, chipping that stone with obsidian and flint. He's in the zone. He's shaping the future with a hit and a crack. Building the legends, ain't no turning back. With every sharp edge, he's teaching the way of the ancients who thrive back in the day. Crafty on the TV, talking that smack. Stone carving dreams, never looking back. From Texas to Vermont, Crafty studies us, chiseling the past, building futures for us. Wielding the hammer, he's steady and strong, crafting a world where we all belong. Underneath those layers of dust and grit, finds the magic every little bit. A sculptor of stories, buried in the ground. Each piece he uncovers wisdom abound. With every collision, the sparks start to fly. As the old world awakens, we question why. He's digging deeper where the shadows play, reviving old crafts that could fade away. Crafty on the TV, talking that smack. Stone carving dreams, never looking back. From Texas to Vermont, Crafty studies us, chiseling the past, building futures for us. Wielding the hammer, he's steady and strong, crafting a world where we all belong. And in this life, we're all just searching for our place in the world, a way to keep working. With the flick of his wrist, he brings forth the light. In every gray morning, he makes it feel right. So gather around, let the stories unfold. Crafty's our guide through the young and the old. With the sun rising high and the day moving on, Crafty carves dreams till the light is all gone. He's shaping the future one chip at a time. With every creation, he's keeping the rhyme. From the heartland of Texas to the mountains of green, the legacy lives on through the stonework unseen. With every perspective, he's showing the way. Crafty keeps going, come whatever may. Crafty on the TV, talking that smack. Stone carving dreams, never looking back. From Texas to Vermont, Crafty studies us, chiseling the past, building futures for us. Wielding the hammer, he's steady and strong, crafting a world where we all belong. So here's to the mornings with coffee in hand, and Crafty on the screen, the true heart of the land. With a hit and a crack, he's paving the way through stone and through story. He inspires the day.
Hello, everybody. Let's see, who do we have in the chat? It looks like we got familiar faces. Familiar faces in the chat. This is the Flintknapping live stream. So if you're here for entertainment or something like that, you're on the wrong side of the weird side of YouTube. Yeah, I'm going to be chatting with members of my community, my buddies online, and subscribers and all that. Okay? Now, let's see, where am I? But I will be doing napping in between the chat, talking some smack maybe sometimes, making fun of people and all that. I'll be doing napping in between all that. Okay, where is myself on YouTube? It's easy for me to check the chat on another phone. Yeah, that's what I said. All right. Who is here? Chris is here. Flakesguard, Graylin, Dockenstein, Big C. He digs the song. Thank you. Music provided by Danny Collins. The song is about me, yes. I don't know of anybody else with the nickname Crafty and napping some stuff in a song. You let me know if there's other songs about nappers. I never heard one. Clint Stoner is here. Francois is here. We have some new guys. Hey, Ashia is here. Yeah, this is the Wednesday live stream is kind of early for me, right? So sometimes we have internationals in the house that can only watch us at this hour because it's too late for them otherwise. Danny made a song for Stone Hook. I gotta listen to that one. Alyssa is here. Hello from Kansas City, Missouri. You know that there's lots of nap-ins in and around Missouri? Well, I don't know about lots, but there's some. The best place to learn napping is at a nap-in. Best place to get rocks is at a nap-in. Best place to ask if anyone's ever cut themselves napping is at a nap-in. What's a nap-in? It's this. They sell hats at nap-ins sometimes, right? I'm going to go to this one in the spring. Heart of Texas and Brady. It's a get-together where flint nappers nap together. Yeah. Sometimes all in one big circle and sometimes in all little separate circles. And there's also vendors of stones and various tools. I like to promote nap-ins, even though no one gives me any money for promoting nap-ins. I like to promote the nap-ins because they are the best. YouTubes are good, especially if you can't drive or if you're shy or if you're really young. YouTube is the best, second best, but nap-ins are the very best. Okay. Alyssa says I nap a lot. Yeah, but that's the wrong kind of nap. Yeah. Okay. But yes, it's good. It's good to nap a lot. Either type of napping. Yeah. Both are good. I like both. If I had two hobbies, they would both be napping. Yeah. I've said before that if I had plenty of money, I wouldn't be napping. I would not. But I say that kind of in a joking manner because I think I probably would still be flint napping at least a little bit, even if I had tons of money and I could just sit back and relax. I think I'd still go to my rock pile and pick out some stuff and start napping. Yeah. But I would not do it as much as I'm doing it now. I'm napping almost every day. At least a little bit. What is this stuff? This is something from Garrett, a friend of mine. I got this at a nap-in as a gift, and I don't know what it is, except it's a little bit nappable. It looks like a jasper, but there's all kinds of stone that looks like this. And it doesn't really matter if you know the name of it. In general, these are jaspers when you cannot see through them and they're a color other than gray or tan. Yeah, if it's an exotic type of color, it's a jasper. But it's the same thing as a flint or chert as far as chemical composition. Yeah. Jaspers are more closely related to cherts, though, I think. Let's see. I got lots of chat going on there. Mr. Jim is here. Barrett. Eastgate. Yeah, there's some here. But this is a Catahoula. These are Texas arrowheads down here. This is the big red book that we call it in Texas. Stone Artifacts of Texas Indians. Yeah, that's one of my favorites because I spent a lot of time in Texas. And all my children were born in Texas. I got married in Texas. I spent over 30 years there. All my buddies are in Texas. And but I'm now in Vermont. And whatever I nap these days seems to be mostly gifts of stone because there's no really good deposits of stone where I live here. I'd have to travel 2 or 3 hours away at the closest to get to good stone, which is not too far. And the good stone, I quote unquote, is going to be Onondaga or Esopus chert. My friend Bushy always corrects me on that one, and I still can't remember if it's Esopus or Esopus chert, but it's really good. It's like the best stuff we have around here, up in the Northeast, other than what we can find on the border with Pennsylvania, I guess. There's Pennsylvania Jasper. That's really, really good. Yeah, Pennsylvania got us beat. Dang it. Vermont has nothing good. I mean, not really good. I don't mind saying that. Yeah. I can say that since I live here now. I'm living here permanently, and I visit Texas every now and then. But I also visit other places. My kids are not going to stay there forever. Yeah. So what do we got? If you have questions and I see them in the chat, I'll try to answer them. Clint Stoner says, I got a 3,500-year-old artifact made from Onondaga. It's a 3.5-inch blade. Dang, that's good. Those are rare, big blades. I've got some large artifacts, but they're mostly just bifaces and broken pieces that were broken in manufacture. I got a lot of Texas artifacts of my own, in my own collection. I have not brought them up to Vermont yet. Yeah, I got to do that next time I go down there. I have to remember that, well, I didn't have enough space in my car last time. But this time, I'm going to make sure that I bring up all my artifacts from Texas, so I can show them off and make shorts videos. This has got like sparkly stuff in this cortex. Look at that. What is that? It's got diamonds in it, dude. Look at that. Bruh, you got diamonds in your rocks and you're wasting it. Bruh. I don't know what that is. The geologists know what that is, and they can probably identify the rock by that stuff that's included in it. Yeah. Not me. I don't care. Somebody will tell me what it is, and I'll forget it in about 2 hours, because all I remember is it napped good or didn't nap good. That's it. I try to keep it as simple as possible, and I'm not very impressive when you engage with me in conversation, because you'll ask me stuff like, "What's your favorite stone, dude? What's your favorite stone, bro?" Yes. No. What's your favorite stone? There's no stone called yes. Yes. You mean they're all your favorites? Yes. So that's kind of a boring conversation, you know what I mean? Yeah. As long as they nap, they're my favorites. I do, to be fair, I do have a favorite right now. I like black buttery obsidian. Yes, I do. That's my favorite right now. Mainly because for a while, I couldn't get any good quality black opaque obsidian that napped well. But somebody gifted me, I think it was, I don't want to say because I'll probably get the name wrong. Anyway, I got 2 boxes of really excellent stuff from 2 subscribers to the channel. And now I'm swimming in it. So I'm happy. Yep. These little things make me happy. Simple things. So what am I doing? Well, I'm trying to whittle this down because this started out as a slab. It's been cut on a machine. See how flat it is on each side? It's flat enough to write on it and draw designs and stuff on it. Yeah, it's slabbed because a lot of this exotic material needs to be slabbed to preserve it, because all you get is crud flakes when you try to spall it out in most cases, because you get little inclusions like this that mess you up. If you slab it, it helps to conserve it, as long as you don't break the slab. Yeah. Is it easy to break the slab? Yes, it is. I'm glad you asked that question. Yeah. How did you know to ask that question? If the slabs break easy.
Dude, I got lots of slabs, but they always break. They, they, I stepped on one and it broke too. You know, they're so weak.
Yeah, I know. That's the problem with slabs, is they break easily. But if they're weak enough to break by stepping on them, that means they probably already had a flaw in there, and you dodged the bullet there, because you don't want it to break on you while you're trying to do a nice arrowhead, and you're getting down to the final stages, and then it breaks because of a defect. You wasted your time. So it's better that these things break early, so you can be all crazy with it in the beginning. And if it breaks in the beginning, you dodged the bullet. Yeah. There you go. That's my advice. People ask me all the time,
You got any tips on how to thin it down, man? I can't stand it. It keeps me up at night. I can't eat just because I can't thin them down. I'm a nervous wreck. What are the tips?
The tips are practice. And watch my videos. I got over 2,000 videos. You might have to turn the volume down on some of my videos, because you may not like the way I talk about stuff. Yeah. Or you might not like my voice, or I might rub people the wrong way. I have a tendency to rub people the wrong way. So just turn the volume down. Or I have no talk videos. I've got live streams where I answer questions and stuff in real time. I got all kinds of stuff. Yeah. But if you are wondering where the best place is to learn this, you go to a Knapping and watch nappers, in real time. And there's different styles of napping. You'll find out that, you'll say to yourself,
dang, there's so many different ways to do this. There's so many different angles, and nobody grinds this down the same way. Nobody has the same types of, like, billets and stuff. They're all kind of different. Even when they're antler, some antler billets are big, some are tiny, some are made of moose, some are axis deer, and some white-tailed deer. I mean, what's going on?
Yeah. But you get exposed to all these different types of napping and all the different types of tools. Why is that important? Because it gives you exposure to how it was back in the day. It was not standardized back in the day when they were making these artifacts thousands of years ago. Everybody had their own styles and their own ways of napping. So it gets you in that mindset, instead of getting you in the mindset of the online napping internet culture that seems to be standardized. Everything has to be done in a certain way or it's not right. Okay? That's not how it was back in the day. Yeah. They had thousands of years to try different techniques, different materials, different tools. They had literally thousands of years. We only have a few decades. Flintknapping has only been very popular in the past 3 decades, let's say. Okay? Compared to 30,000 years in the New World anyway. That's many, many thousands of years compared to only 3 decades. So we don't know much. We still are in the dark on a lot of this stuff. But internet culture thinks it knows everything. Don't pay attention to internet culture. Yeah. When it comes to napping, anyway. If you do it your own way and it's all weird, it's still good, as long as you're able to nap. Mr. Jim says the glass block sucked. It wasn't as good as bottle bottoms. Who sent you some glass block? Jim, who sent you glass block? Let's see. What are we talking about? I missed it. I missed the convo. Let's see. Mr. Jim says I normally wear my boots but decided not to last night. Okay, let me try to catch up because I don't know what's going on. Mr. Jim says I got a 20-pound piece of obsidian that I'm too scared to break up. Yeah, welcome to the club. I've got a big old huge piece I got from yeah, Danny Collins. I haven't broken it up yet. Skirt Chaser says, I lived in northern panhandle of Texas, plenty of chert there. I found many arrowheads, etc. Did you live close to the panhandle? I lived in Midland, which is not that close, but you know, I've been up there many times. Well, I'd say about 5 or 6 times up into the panhandle area. I never looked for flint up there though. I went there job related. I used to work in Andrews, Texas. Yeah, sometimes we'd go up, drive around in the panhandle to different job sites. Anyways, Mr. Jim says, what's your favorite North American material to knap, or do you have one since it can vary so much? Yeah, I don't have any favorites now except maybe black butter obsidian. And I'm trying to master it because it is snap and halfish. It's a lot like mahogany obsidian as far as it's snapping in half. But I'm trying to master it because I want to make a personal collection of the opaque black arrowheads that I've seen from California, from Arizona, and the far north, like Washington State and Oregon. They have beautiful arrowheads made of the obsidian. I want some of those in my personal collection. I need to make a keeper case. That's my eventual goal with the black butter obsidian. Clint says, I found it in northern New York, about 8 miles from the Canadian border. Yeah, northwestern New York has some knappable materials like Onondaga. But anything heat treat is usually good. I'm not sure if this is heat treat, this thing I've been trying to knap. I don't know if this is heat treat. It feels raw. It does not feel like heat treat, but you never know. Sometimes when you heat treat it, it doesn't get glossy. It's not easy to knap though. It might look like it's easy, but it's not. It's really hard. This is hard jasper. It's not the soft jasper. You know,
How can a rock be soft, dude? Be more specifical.
all right. It's not really soft or hard as we normally would think of it. It's either easy to knap or not easy to knap. Not easy to flake or not easy to flake. And this one is not that easy to flake. It's not that easy to flake. Although it looks like it, it's not. What is easy to flake? This stuff is easy to flake. This is from Texas. It's called amoeba chert, high grade amoeba chert. That's easy to flake as a raw stone. Now, if you heat treat it, well, you don't need to heat treat this stuff. But if you heat treat this, maybe it'll get easier to flake and get more glossy. Yeah, what is glossy? Let's see. Do I have any glossy? Yeah, this is a heat treat. This here is heat treated. I don't know. It's another jasper, but this one is glossy compared to the dull. See how it's kind of glossy? It's so kind of waxy. I'm mentioning this because I get the question. So before I get the question, I'll let you know. I'm trying to let you know. Yeah, Tennessee Blacksmith says, looks like fool's gold. There is fool's gold in some of this stuff. Where is it? I have a piece that has pyrite that looks just like gold in one of these bins. Don't tell me I threw it away. I have a tendency to get the rocks mixed up and then I toss them out. I have a little flake. Or I used to have a little flake that had fool's gold in it. Anyways, it's pretty common to see fool's gold in some areas of the United States when you go out collecting cherts and flints. Mike says, was it Alan? Alan Cole sent me some, yes. But I think it was Bill Taylor and Alan Cole sent me some good black butter obsidian. But there's another friend of mine too, but he sent me some that's got a little bit of red in it also. which is the best stuff. Luke Hammock sent me some stuff that's excellent. Let's see. Wilbur says, "I'd like some arrowheads. Do you sell some?" Yeah, I have an auction every Monday on my channel, so you'll have to bid. Every Monday I have an auction. I'm supposed to post it at 6 p.m., but sometimes I'm a little late. But it closes at 9 p.m. Eastern on Sunday. No, on Mondays. Did I say Sunday? Or did I say weekly? All right. It's every Monday from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern. So if I said something wrong before, discard that. Mondays. Yeah, Mondays, 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern. See, I can think, see, I've got this autism thing. I can think something in my head perfectly clearly and then speak, and I think I'm speaking what I'm thinking, but I'm not. I'm speaking something totally different. Yeah, and I think that's autism, but it might be ADHD. It might be some weird stuff going on. Maybe I got dropped on my head when I was little. I don't know. Oh, yeah, somebody already answered that question. Let's see. Wow, you guys are quick to answer the questions. Thanks. Mike Mason says, TV glass is becoming a rare knapping material. Yeah, but I'm going to warn people against using TV glass anyway. It's an excellent glass to knap, but I'm worried that it has some kind of chemical coating on the inside that may contain some hazardous material that if you breathe the dust, it's not good for you. But I think that's on the older TV glass, but I still would not take a chance. Mr. Jim says, I'm done with glass after a while, after last night. Yeah. Glass can get very dangerous. Why glass? Because it's extremely sharp. Yeah. It's a lot sharper than flint or chert. 2 pieces of glass went in each shoe and are currently stuck in my feet. Oh, dang it. You need to dig those out as quick as possible. Jim, you need to get those dug out. You need either you can do it or someone else can do it. I tried. One of my daughters was excellent at removing splinters and stuff like that. So once in a while, I would have her dig around in my fingers or in my hand to get the glass out. I wish she was around. I mean, she got married and now she's got her own life. But I learned to dig these things out myself. So I never let the glass stay longer than 24 hours. I learned how she had a little trick to search for the glass until she heard this little click. Ah, that's where it is. And then you'd start digging for it and pull it out with tweezers or whatever. Sometimes you can squeeze it out. Okay, are there any questions? If there's no questions, I'll get back to knapping. Yeah. Hey, Scott Goldsberry's here. Hey, Santi Paras. I'm new here. Welcome, if you're still here. Some people, when they're new, they just say, I'm new, and then they leave. I'm relatively new to your channel, so I have to ask, you ever use Mahogany Obsidian? Yes, I do. Let's see. Let me see if I have any in here. I can knap some of this for you. Yeah. People ask me all the time if I have Mahogany Obsidian. I can knap some of this. And yeah, I've got videos where I knap it. I know why you ask too, because Mahogany Obsidian is cheap. You can buy it all over the place. And some people give it away for free. But yeah, I've knapped a lot of it. Let's see. Okay, if there's no more questions, I'm going to start knapping again. Logical apostate. Hey, all out with Pooch, hoping to learn something. Love teaching style and host commentary. Awesome. All right. Razors. Razor Requiem. Those are quite lovely. Obsidian or glass? Pros. Which more dangerous? Man-made glass, I think, is more dangerous than obsidian. There's various grades of obsidian. Some of them are not as dangerous or not as sharp when you flake them on the obsidians. But all man-made glass is very sharp. So I would say, in general, man-made glass is the worst as far as being dangerous. But it's the easiest to knap. Okay. So I'm gonna put this down, and I'm gonna knap a little bit on this mahogany obsidian, because apparently I keep getting asked that question. This one's gonna probably break in the middle, so you don't want to see that. How about this one? See what I can get out of this. This, I fish these out of trash piles that other nappers throw away. They don't want to deal with this kind of stuff, but I will nap it. Oh yes. I just, have to take the curve out by losing some length. Yeah. It's just physics, right? You cannot take the curve out. There's no device for that. Although I could tell you that there's a obsidian straightener, flake straightener. I've been known to say that there are flake stretchers or flint stretchers. I could start to tell you that, or I could invent something that's called a obsidian straightener. It straightens obsidian curved flakes. Yeah.
Dude, you don't know how to tell jokes. You get all messed up, and there's no punchline. It falls flat.
I know it falls flat because I've got to monitor how I'm saying it, and it ruins the joke. I got to make sure I don't say the wrong thing when I'm trying to tell a joke, because that's been happening a lot. Yeah. And it ruins it. It ruins the timing, etc., etc. We got this truck outside that's backing up with a little beep. I'm trying to keep it quiet. I turned the heater off. And no, stupid truck outside. Let's see. I'm going to try to make sure I keep up with the chat. All right, no questions. Good. Not good, but, good that I didn't miss them, because I want to answer questions when they come up. So this is a mahogany obsidian. It is a higher grade of obsidian, mahogany obsidian. There's different grades of mahogany obsidian. This is one of the higher grades. So just because I'm able to knap this doesn't mean that you'll be able to knap yours. But I just wanted to, I want to knap this for those who ask the question of death.
Why can't I nap a mahogany obsidian? Why?
Yeah, that's the question of death, because mahogany obsidian is a pain. Yeah, and you don't want to hear that.
I don't want to hear that mahogany is a pain, because then I'll die.
See, that's what I mean.
It's the only thing I can get.
Yeah, I know. Welcome. This was the only type of obsidian that I could get for a while, too. I couldn't get any of the other stuff. I would just pick up free chunks of mahogany obsidian that nobody else wanted. Yeah, when I first started. So I've always had a ton of it. Okay, so we're all in the same boat. Just got to practice. And if that's all you got, you can probably get good at it if you stick with it. If you get sick of it, just try something else. Try some floor tile from Home Depot. That's way different. Yes, you can nap floor tile, but make sure it's the porcelain high-grade floor tile, not the cheapy bottom of the barrel on sale floor tile reject stuff. No, you got to get the good, expensive porcelain floor tile. Relatively speaking, it'll be expensive for floor tile, but it won't be expensive compared to other things. You know what I mean? It's not that expensive as a napping material. People say, hey, bro, you forgot to tell them about the toilet tank porcelain. No, I didn't forget to tell them. I don't want to tell them that. They shouldn't be napping Johnstone because Johnstone is a pain. Okay? Yeah, but that's what I learned on. I don't care. I don't like it. I'm not going to recommend it. Yeah. I'm not going to recommend it.
Wait, what are you talking about? I never heard of it.
Good. Don't even go there. If you never heard of it, you're dodging a bullet. Yep. Don't even try it. Somebody might say, yeah, now that you're making a big fuss, everyone's going to want to try it. I know. Aren't humans weird and funny like that? Dang it. Yeah.
Hey, my uncle replaces toilets. I can get a bunch of that stuff.
Yeah, I know. I know it's pretty common, pretty easy to get. And you can nap it all day and still have a bunch left. I know. But I don't recommend it. Nope. It doesn't translate to anything. I mean, it's not like anything else. The low quality porcelain, you can nap porcelain sinks, okay, porcelain cups, like coffee mugs, and all kinds of stuff like that. It's just got to be high grade stuff. I mean, if you go with electrical porcelain, like for electrical insulators, that is higher grade stuff. If you can get a hold of the porcelain insulators, electrical, those are good to nap. It's a much higher grade porcelain in most cases. Now, again, somebody's going to come up in the chat and go,
Yeah, I got like 87 pounds of porcelain electrical insulators, and they suck.
okay, fine. You got the only porcelain insulators in the whole world that suck. I know. But for the most part, they don't. Yeah, they're good. What am I doing with this copper rod? It's called indirect percussion. Yeah. Indirect percussion means it's not direct. It's indirect. Because I'm not using the tool to hit directly. I'm using the tool to hit indirectly. Yeah.
That doesn't help at all.
I know. This live stream is not for instructional purposes, believe it or not. I'm here to interact with my audience, just like I'm supposed to. I'm not supposed to be putting on a show or to entertain. And now some people can learn things while I'm doing this because they've never ever seen it before in their life, and they go, dang it, I didn't realize that obsidian was a real thing. I mean, is it real? Is it like from the earth? Can you get it like going outside? Yes, you can go outside and get it, but not where you live. I guarantee not where you live. No, you got to be in a special area near ancient volcanoes. Yeah. And a lot of this stuff, a lot of this obsidian is found in remote areas. Yeah, areas where only crazy hikers and dirt bikers dare to venture. Mountain climbers, dirt bikers, and crazy hikers. Yeah, those are the only people that get to see this stuff on a regular basis. Yeah. So it's not where you live. Luckily, this stuff is not that expensive if you want to buy some. Yeah, so it's an interesting material to nap, this mahogany stuff. Now I'm hitting the base and I'm running long flakes, and some people are going, wait a second, I can't do that with what I own. What kind of mahogany you got? Super mahogany? As soon as I even breathe on the base, it snaps in half. Yeah, I know. I'm being very careful. I've been doing this for 15 years. So that makes a difference. You might not be able to do it this way if you're just starting out. I'm not saying it because I'm all that great at doing this. I'm just giving you a warning, fair warning, for two reasons. One, so you know it's the material that will mess you up, and it's not really you that is messing it up if you're having trouble. And number two, it'll tell you that you need to practice a lot. I've been practicing this for 15 years and I'm still learning. So that's why I'm telling you. It still looks ugly. Yes, I know. I'm going to unuglify it. Yeah. I'm going to make it nice. Yeah. If it doesn't break. Yeah. Little by little, because I can't be removing big gigantic flakes on this stuff because it will snap in half. Yes, yes. I can't not be aggressive with the mahogany. That's the rule. Now you know. You cannot be all that aggressive. And it has this is too flat up here. So I'm going to be trying to make it flatter, which means I got to take material off of this side right here to create a center line that's more in the middle. How do I say this? It doesn't look balanced. So I got to remove a lot of this right here, remove a lot of this down here, and establish a straight center line that's actually going through the middle of the whole thing. And sometimes I lose some length off the ends, but hopefully I won't have to lose too much off of this one. Yeah, hopefully. See, what I'm doing is I move the edge this way so I can remove flakes from the base this way. And it's still kind of thick. I used to look at the number of people that are watching. It varies quite a bit. That's because people are just doom scrolling. They're not really interested in Flintknapping. The ones that are interested in Flintknapping will stick around for the whole show. Yeah. If it's fluctuating a lot, and if there's a lot of people dropping in and out or coming in and out, that means they're just doom scrolling. I was doom scrolling the live streams a couple days ago to see what is actually out there for live streams. And it's just mostly people talking into the camera about their hobbies or their complaints. And they don't interact with the audience that much. So I guess that's what people want. I should just talk about my hobbies and not do them, just talk about them. There are some live streams that do show the process on the hobbies. But the one, I was scrolling through live streams the other day at random. Because as soon as when you click on a live stream and then you flip it up, you'll get another live stream. You flip it up, you get another live stream. It'll flip through live streams. So I was flipping through live streams for like an hour. And most of the ones that I was looking at were just regular people talking into the camera and ranting about stuff. That's it. And I guess that's what people are using their live stream abilities, or that's what they're using live streams for these days, just to do the rants and the complaints. And sometimes you get political stuff. Some people are reading books on their live streams, which is kind of okay. It depends on what kind of books, though. It's just the point is it's just a bunch of brainless stuff. You don't need to think about it when you're watching these things. Yeah, people are just either doom scrolling so they can take a nap because they get bored. They get so bored of these live streams that it makes them fall asleep. Or they need to relax or decompress. So they just sit there in their rocking chair or their lawn chair and just scroll while drinking lemonade. Of course, it's wintertime, so I don't know. Drinking their tea and scrolling. I have no idea. I really don't know what people use the internet for these days. And I asked Grok, what is the most common use of the internet? And it still says that what people use the internet for mainly is for entertainment. But I look to see what people are watching, what's trending, and none of it's entertaining. It's mostly just a bunch of rants. Yeah. People ranting about stuff. Is that entertaining? Because if it is, I'm totally out of touch. Yeah. All right, so I've done the easy part. Now comes the hard part. The easy part is just getting it to the biface stage. Let me put it down so I can check the chat. So I've got two, what I call preforms or bifaces. The preform is already headed toward the direction that you want as far as a finished piece. The biface can be made into anything you want to be. There's a lot of options. So this has a lot of options still. So this is a biface. This one already starting to look like what I'm going to finish it as. So it's a preform. Okay. All preforms, or almost all preforms, are bifaces, but not all bifaces are preforms. Okay, that's one way to look at it. Let me see. What is there going on in the chat? Do we have drama? Yamazaki says, bro, what is this? Are you a background jockey? Do you understand what's going on in the backgrounds? If you do, you would have figured it out by looking at that book. It's a live stream about arrowheads, and I'm doing arrowheads. Father Time says I'm here to learn. There's better videos for learning, actually. I have in-depth videos on knapping. I'm going to interact with my audience, so you're not going to learn as much on the live stream as you would on one of my regular videos. I'm not trying to get rid of you. I'm just saying. Hey, Jeremy, what's up, everybody? How you doing, Patrick? Who's Patrick? I'm doing okay. Let's see. What's going on here? Somebody's marbles from a koi pond? Let's see. You can use little glass buttons. They call them buttons, or I don't know what they are, but they're different sizes of glass drops. They just drop glass, molten glass on something, and then sell them as aquarium decorations. You can nap that glass. You can buy that stuff at Hobby Lobby or Michael's. Let's see. I'm a hammer and chisel guy, so I appreciate the gloves. Yeah, I can't really nap too much without the gloves because it's just annoying to get cut. It's so darn annoying. I'm going to go back in the chat and see what I missed. Yeah, Clint knows. He goes gloveless to feel the feedback from the stone. Yeah, see, Clint knows about this stuff. Sometimes there's comments in here that I don't know what's going on. Okay, I think I've gone back far enough. What are you doing, good sir? I am trying to make an arrowhead. Mike Mason says I never wear gloves. Some of us are as tough as woodpecker lips. Yeah, I'm not that tough. Besides, I hate making a mess. If I bleed all over my points, I consider that making a big mess. I mean, it doesn't bother some people. Keith says, I don't need gloves when making marbles. Yes, you do. Them marbles can be sharp. On the point. I mean, they're pointy marbles, right? You can still cut yourself on the point of those pointy marbles. Or are they just not pointy at all? If I ignore some of the comments, I'm not trying to ignore you. I'm just trying to do this quickly. I don't understand some of these. Let's see. Okay, I'm going to get back to the napping after I check the chat. I just want to make sure I'm answering questions. Jeremy says hi. Logical Apostate says, bro, just keep talking and breaking rocks. I love this. There's a lot of nappers streaming. I'm neurodivergent. I'll leave it at that. I effing love your shows. Well, thanks. Welcome to the Neurodivergent Club. Yeah. I definitely have some of that. I'm on the spectrum. Flashing says, not my live stream. I try to put on a show with guests from all walks of treasure hunting. Now on my 8th year, I have the longest running prospecting and treasure hunting live stream on YouTube. Dang. That's awesome. I gotta subscribe to you, dude. Hold on. Where are you? No, I can't do it. It doesn't do. I can't click on you. Why? Why can't I click? Somebody tell me how to click on flash in your pan. See that? It doesn't work. I need to be able to subscribe to this guy, and it won't bring me to his channel. Yeah. Let's see. Channel activity. Okay, go to channel. Yeah, I'm stupid. All right, I'm gonna subscribe. I want to see some of these. Yeah, look at that. You got much fancier thumbnails than I do. I don't do fancy thumbnails for my live streams. I just let YouTube do it. I got to start doing. I try to do thumbnail stuff, but every time I do that, I waste 2 days during the week, and each day for me, I lose like $50 to $100 a day if I goof around and don't do anything that day. Anyways, what else we got? Let's see. You used to be able to click on the person's little avatar and go to their channel. Now it gives you a bunch of choices, which I guess is better. Let's see. Is that it? Did I reach the end of the chat? Yes, I did. Okay. So let's see. Let's get back to the mahogany, because I like napping this better than the chert, because that's not easy to nap. This one, on the other hand, much easier. Now I'm going to switch over to pressure flaking pretty soon, but I still have a chance to thin this down with indirect percussion. Yeah. I can still do some indirect percussion on this to thin it down some more. Yep. How thin do I want to get it? Let's see. Well, I made these yesterday. I want to get it that thin. Yeah, see, it's not thin enough. What is this? This is a Texas heat treat, or maybe it's a New Mexico heat treat. It's a desert rock heat treat. I don't know where I got it. It looks like a desert rock. It's got some translucency. And then this one is a Horse Creek heat treat. This one's a little bit thicker because I did not want to break it, but it's still thinner than the obsidian. So I still got a ways to go on this. Okay. All right. Let's see. And yeah, I thin them down with indirect percussion. And if I start cutting my fingers and stuff, I'll put my glove back on. But the gloves start getting in the way with these smaller points. And if I'm having trouble napping, I want to get feedback from the stone. That sometimes helps to get used to the stone. If I can feel what's going on, it's hard to explain. But I can get more feedback from the stone if I take the glove off. Of course, that didn't work all that well because I took a bite out of it. See that? But it's going to get narrow. This is my goal. My goal is something similar to this one. So I've got a lot of room. I'll make a California type out of this. This one is a desert type, like a Toya, or a side notch. I don't know. There's other types that look similar to that one. So that's my goal for this. Okay, so I've got to be less aggressive because I took the bite out of that by being too aggressive. So, yeah. Okay, so here we go again. Let's try this again. Just be a little bit less aggressive. This is the hardest part in knapping, to thin down something that's already relatively thin. To even go even thinner. That's what I think is the hardest part. Other people may disagree, which is perfectly fine. Whatever is difficult for you is difficult for you. Yeah. Can you see? No? Let me see. Does that make a difference to have that lighter background? Or do I have to get real up close to the camera? Would it be better? Maybe I can drop the camera down closer to the workpiece, but then I'll hit the camera with the billet. I mean, it's like 1 inch away from it right now. So if I drop the camera down further, I might hit the camera phone. I don't want to do that because I've done that before. Yeah. The problem with being too gentle is you get step fractures because there's not enough force to complete the flake. So that last hit, I got that mess right there. So too hard and I get the bite, not hard enough and I get the step. So it's got to be that sweet spot in between, too hard and too soft, which is very difficult to get because it also depends on the material and the quality of the edge. It's not just the amount of force. The angle also changes depending on the surface, depending on where you want to run the flake. If it's really convex or not really convex, there's a difference in how long you make the flake. If it's really convex, you can make a long flake. If it's not convex, if it's really flat, then only short flakes. And the angle changes for long flakes and short flakes. There's not the same angle for everything. Contrary to what you may have been told or led to believe, if you're doing it like this, where it's all random flaking, not only is it flaking random, but the angles are random. Yeah, it's not all the same angle. It's not all the same force. Nothing is the same when you do it randomly. The results are not the same either. Sometimes you'll get a nice flake, sometimes you won't. It won't do what you want a lot of times. Like right there, it didn't do what I want. It halfway did it. This side did what I wanted, but this side didn't. The flake went in 2 directions. See how it went in 2 directions? And the one that didn't go very well is step fractured right there. But it's okay. At this stage, there's still got plenty of meat in there. I can fix that. Yeah. Just by patiently knapping around it. I'll either eliminate it or minimize it. Sometimes you can't get rid of it entirely. You just minimize, which is good enough. Minimizing it is good enough. Contrary to what you might be told, some people say,
no, you can't minimize it, dude, because that means you're taking a shortcut, you're not doing it right, and you're stupid.
Yeah, I heard it all. I've heard it all. But the way I knap, minimizing is valid. Yes, it is. It is not something that's wrong. Minimizing is great. It's awesome. It's fantastic and wonderful and tremendous. Yeah. Of course, that didn't work. I tried to power through that steppy area with another flake from the side, do a flank attack. It didn't work. That obstacle is very strong. Yeah. So I'll just have to do it later. As it gets more narrow, I can attack that with another flake. But in the meantime, I got to work on everything else. I'll come back to it in a little bit. And if I start to not have any, I mean, if I think I'm reaching the limits of my ability with the indirect percussion, I've got to switch to pressure flaking. And if it looks like it's not going to be getting any thinner, then I'll just stop thinning it and say, that's good. We're good. You know, it's not getting any thinner because I go by ratios, the width to thickness ratio. If the ratio stays the same, that means it's not getting any thinner. So if that's the case, then I just stop thinning. I'll just go, that's good. We're good. If the ratio isn't changing and getting better, I will say, we're good. But I'm changing the ratio now. It's getting thinner without getting more narrow, which is good. Now that one, that flake, was really good. And that steppy area in the middle sometimes gets reduced as you attack the flanks. Sometimes the flake will venture into the step. It'll venture into the step. But in this case, it didn't that much. It did a little bit right here. See how this one flake shot this way and it ventured over and kind of reduced the step fracture a little bit. I can try to pick that out. This was a nasty spot there. So I've got step fractures going in many areas, right? I get at least 3 boogery spots because I reduced the amount of force. Like I was talking about earlier, I need to reduce the amount of force so I don't get bites like that. This is worse than a step fracture because this reduces width without your control. I was not planning on this. So it ruins everything, basically, if I wanted to keep it wide, which I don't. But as you get thinner, these become more common. So you can't have that. Yeah, you cannot have those as you get thinner and thinner and more narrow. I got to find that sweet spot between hitting too hard and not hitting hard enough. And it's a range. It's not exactly one little spot. It's a range of forces. Most things in Flintknapping are on a spectrum. Funny how that works.
You mean Flintknapping is autistic?
Yeah. Yep. The rules of Flintknapping. The physics is autistic. It's all physics. Yeah. You can't make miracles. And Flintknapping will not allow you to make miracles anyway. If you have a miracle, it's a luck. It's luck. It's not a miracle. You learn very fast that there's lots of luck out there, but there's no miracles. Yeah. That's what Flintknapping can teach you. Yes. Oops. There's coincidences, there's exceptions, there's luck, but there's no miracles. Yeah. You can't make miracles when you're napping. Although people, that's what they want to see. You can get a lot of views if it looks like you're doing a miracle, and you can lie about it and go, yep, that was a miracle. I'm being blessed. Yep. I wouldn't have been able to do that unless I was blessed. You can lie like that, but I'm trying to be honest. Yep. this is not, this is going to make me work for these flakes. I don't like it when it doesn't do anything when I hit it. When that starts to happen, that means it wants to be tough, and it makes me, it's wanting to make me work for it. It's making me work for every flake harder than it needs to be. Yeah, and the stone loves to do that. Yeah, this is stone. Even though it's volcanic glass, I call it stone. But yeah, sometimes it makes you work for every flake. It depends on what piece you're working on. Not all pieces are the same. Some pieces are really belligerent. Yeah. This one's not too bad. This one's not too bad. It's like, you know, it's misbehaving slightly, but it's not too bad. At the beginning of the video, I said this was going to be a high-grade obsidian, and it is. It's just not that easy. For obsidian, this is high-grade stuff. Yeah. I'm going to put my glove back on, I think. Yeah, because I'm going to do some pressure flaking. That's when I do need my gloves for sure, because these flakes get in places that I don't like. They get in the way. They bug me. They get me all itchy. Let's see. Where's my new flaker? Yeah. This is brand new. I just got it a few days ago. Might as well use it, right? Oh, wait, I didn't check the chat. Before each stage, I need to check the chat. So, what is the stage? The stage was I thinned it past the initial thinning. So I did a secondary thinning on it. It still needs to be thinned more, but I've got too many obstacles to thin it more. See those step fractures? Those are obstacles for thinning. So I'm going to try to get rid of those with pressure flaking and try to thin it down more after that. With pressure flakes, I can pick these out in many cases. I can make the surface smoother. Sometimes I can even thin it down with the pressure flaking. If it doesn't work to thin it down with pressure flaking, then I'll just use the indirect percussion. And we'll try not to break it. So let's check the chat. See where we're at. There's too many people watching anyways. Flakesguard says, if you find it orange under an apple tree, it's not a miracle. Something ain't right. Yeah, you guys, people that were stealing oranges, they came by and they must have had an orange in their pocket while they were stealing your apples. Yeah. It has to cooperate, says Father Time. Yeah. It does need to cooperate. Some stones will cooperate easily. Ed Gould says, I think obsidian is the glossiest of all stones. Yeah, probably so. Turn those bites into serrations. Yeah. I mean, you can, but the bites are usually way too big. They can be turned into serrations on a larger point. But we're talking about, if you want serrations on a small point, we're talking about miniature. Where are they? We're talking about little bitties. I tried to put a little bit of a serrated edge on this one. These are little bitty serrations, okay? These bites are way too big for that effect. Maybe this one has it better. I tried to put just a slight serrated edge on these. Not this one. This one just barely has that. I'll do one that has a better quality of little bitty serrations. Yeah, and if you ask if this is obsidian, I'm not going to answer because Someone else can probably tell you.
That didn't help at all.
I know it doesn't help. I do that on purpose. The boy says, does he know how to make a whole arrow, like with a stick and feather too? Yes, I do. In fact, just type in Jet Crafty arrow or something and you'll find out. I don't have my arrows ready. I do have my arrows up there on the shelf. Don't make me get them down. I'll get them down if you don't behave. Let's see. How durable is it? Obsidian is not very durable. No. It's like the one-shot deal. You shoot it once and something's going to break on it. Now, some guys would say, no, I've shot obsidian arrowheads for years and nothing ever happens. Okay. I don't know what you're shooting them at. Maybe you're hunting jellyfish. But yeah, whenever I shoot obsidian arrow, it doesn't even need to hit the target. It'll break in flight. That's how delicate my obsidian points are. Okay? All right. Yes, I'm exaggerating, but yeah, I just look at my obsidian points in a weird way and something goes wrong with them. Let's see. Hey, Flash in their pan says, look like I was already subscribed to you. Awesome. Smart guy. Let's see. Most other rappers or nappers don't explain it like you do, says Father Time. Good. I'm glad to hear that. I'm glad that at least there's something useful in the way I do it. Jake says, could we get a basic rundown on your indirect technique? Basic rundown on the indirect technique on mine? Yeah, just put the flaker behind your knee, put the tip on the edge of the workpiece. Put the tip on the edge of the workpiece and hit it with something, either a high density plastic or antler. Sometimes you can use a steel pipe and knock a flake off and do that 10,000 times. Why 10,000 times? That's just a good round number. I bet you it's more. And you'll get used to how it works. There's just a 3-step formula, right? Stick it in behind your knee, or that's my technique that I invented. You can use some other technique to do the indirect percussion setup. Put it on there, on the edge or on the surface somewhere. Just do it somehow and hit it. You got your 3 steps. Support, place, hit, and do that 10,000 times and you'll get used to it. That didn't help at all. I don't know what to tell you. I've tried to tell people how to do it. Some of them listen. If I give them little particulars, some of them listen. I'd say 10% will listen, and the other 90% will just do it however they want. So I'm talking to the 90%. You need to just hit it 10,000 times, and you'll get the hang of it. All right. What else do we got? I taught my children how to do indirect percussion. The children pick it up easily. Okay, and I tweak it with little particulars here and there, especially with the abrading and with the type of material. They'll pick something out of the flakes. Don't start napping cruddy material. Okay, please. I told my kids that too. Don't start with something really difficult. Look for a good piece and then try it. If it doesn't work, I'll try to help you remove a flake. And not working means it doesn't remove a flake. If you're not removing a flake, or if you're breaking everything, you need to tweak it so that you're just removing flakes and that's it. And I taught my kids how to do it, and they learned in 2 weeks. All right, so if a child can learn in 2 weeks, you can pick it up from a video as an adult. Okay, and then just keep doing it. The rule on Flintknapping is to keep doing the same thing over and over and over again until you get different results. Yeah, and it's not insanity. It's called practice. Hey, Plebius is here. Do jellyfish points have tentacles in place of barbs? They can if you want. Plebeius is here. I said that, right? And Tommy's saying to you, hope your day is spectacular. Let's see. Does bone work well for indirect percussion? No, not well, but it does work. The best thing for indirect percussion is, of course, copper, and then steel, and then aluminum, and then all the other natural materials like antler and bone and ivory. Natural materials are a pain. So any natural material, if you ask me if it works good, it's on the low end of the scale. So I would say it works good for being a natural material, sure. But in the whole scheme of things, it's a pain to work with. Really. Compared to copper, everything is like sucky. All right. Does that mean that I prefer copper? No, I work with all kinds of stuff. On Friday night, on my Friday night live stream, I'm going to be working with natural tools. Hammerstones. Look, this is what I got. Okay. All right, go make me do it. This is what I got lined up for Friday. Okay? This is Friday's live stream bin. I've got 2 heat treats, and I've got natural tools. This is what I use for my billet. I use this for a billet too. I got natural tool pressure flaker. I can also use other things for pressure flakers. Where is my indirect percussion antler? Oh, that's one of my pressure flakers for notching. Where is my... I have a long antler tine. Oh, here it is. I use this for indirect percussion. When I first started, this is how I developed my behind the knee technique. I used to put these behind my knee. Yeah. Okay. And I just switched over to copper rods because it's like 1,000 times easier. But yeah, this is what I use for indirect percussion if I'm using a natural tool. This is a elk tine or a mule deer tine. I can't remember. I get these things as gifts and I don't write down where I get them from or who I got them from because I forget. So I don't know. But any kind of antler, it works as long as you try it out and it's actually working. If I tell you that a certain specific antler type works well, chances are you're going to get one that doesn't work well and you're going to blame me for being wrong. Yeah. How do I know? I don't know. So I just say, just try what you got. And but I can say, if you're going to use natural tools, be very, very picky. Use only fresh antler, not antler sheds, which means if you want to buy a fresh antler, it's got to say brown antler. If they don't say brown antler in the description, they don't know what they're talking about. It's got to say fresh brown antler, something like that, or cut from the skull. Not a shed. Don't use sheds for flintknapping. And there's guys out there that are going to say, well, man, I've been using sheds for flintknapping for 30 years. You don't know what you're talking about. Okay, fine. You use it. You like being in one of those categories that is like masochistic? Fine. If you want to go the easier route, use fresh brown antler or a cut from the skull. If you can have the skull on the antlers when you buy the antlers, that's even better because when you can make billets out of the beams that still have some still have some skull attached when you cut it. Don't cut it completely off the skull. Use some of the skull as the billet. You'll know what I mean. And you can also type in Jack Crafty natural tools or Jack Crafty antler. I have some videos on it. Anyways, bone, specifically like deer bone, elk bone, bison bone, those do not work all that well, to answer your question, for indirect percussion. The antler is going to work better. Okay. What else did I miss? That's a good question. Let's see. Flakescart said, I made a brass bopper from ruined pump shaft and I like it. Well, awesome. Yes, because you probably got it for free. Plebia says, Flakescart, how did you find it compared to copper? My copper is scarce. I'll use it, but if brass is comparable. Brass is not comparable to copper, but it does work. It's just, it's an acquired taste. You've got to practice with the brass because it's slippery and bouncy. It does not grip the edges like copper, but it will grip to some extent. You just have to get used to it. Brass is not that good. Bouncy is not good because you want to follow through with a strike. If it's bouncy, it doesn't follow through properly. For some reason, brass is bouncy. It does work, but it's not going to yield the best results because it's true what they say, that a knapper or a carpenter or whatever is only as good as his tools. And that is true. Okay? All right. Let's see. Where is this going here? Plebia says, I don't know if there's a need to go harder than copper, though. I have a bunch of brass rod for knife making. Yeah, just try the brass. There's different alloys, too. Bronze works better than brass. So if you have bronze, use that. Jeremy says, you ever made a crossbow? I made a crossbow one time. Yeah, but it was very primitive. What did I use? I think I used ash for the limbs. Right? Ash. And it was not very powerful. I think it was only like 50 pounds, 40 or 50 pound. But yeah, I've made one. If I'm going to make a crossbow again, I'm going to use steel limbs. Yeah. See, with wooden limbs, you can't leave it cocked. You've got to fire it right away after you cock it. You've got to fire it right away, or you're going to ruin the limbs. I guess I could use Osage orange for the limbs, but you're still going to get a lot of set. If you let that crossbow be cocked for a long period of time, you're going to ruin the limbs if they're made of wood. Now, you can back the wood with sinew, but it's still going to get some set if you leave it cocked for long periods. I think that's it, right? No more questions? Yeah, bronze. Father Time says bronze has more copper in it. Yeah, but bronze works well, actually. I was surprised at how well my bronze pressure flakers worked. And I think I had a bronze rod. I can't remember the diameter, but it was similar to this, similar to 3/8, and it worked very well also. Let's see. Plebia says, well, I am a newly never struck a rock in anger. Well, just wait. Just wait. If you never struck a rock in anger, just wait. Yeah. And if you get angry enough, you'll actually reduce the rock to powder. Oh, yes. I have powderized many rocks in my day. They do crunch down into a powder. Believe it or not. And it's very satisfying. Yeah. Yeah. If I were to be like a psychologist for Flintknappers, I would recommend rock crushing therapy, where you just crush all your mistakes into dust. Yeah, that's what I would recommend in most cases. Easy peasy. That and, Tylenol for the headaches, because you're going to get headaches. Oh, yes. Well, that was nice. These step fractures had high enough walls that I could press right on the front of that step fracture and knock off the flake, or press off the flake with the spatula tool. This one has been sharpened down really thin, so I can get in there for these small flakes and small arrowheads. I've been working on small arrowheads. So I can't get in there. The front of that step fracture is rounded off, so I can't get in there. I can't pick this one out because the step fracture face is not 90 degrees. It's all rounded. So I gotta nap that one out. But I was able to push off this one. Yeah. It's still got some in there. There's still some steppage. Come on, it's so blurry. There's still some steppage, but I can knock that out with some pressure flakes. I just come in from the sides. Come on, stop doing that. Come in from the sides. Pressure flake from the sides to get those. You don't ever attack them from the front. You don't attack step fractures with a frontal attack. No, it doesn't work. Sometimes it does if you can get underneath. If you can undermine it, then it'll work. But when it's already getting thin, you can't undermine. There's not enough meat. All right, so I'm going to pressure flake this and refine it a little bit. What time is it? I got 35 minutes. That's it. My, how time flies when it's a pain in the butt. Yeah, this is kind of a pain because you got to be very delicate. But it yields excellent results, I think. And the color is awesome too. So this is just downward flakes to reduce the width. And yeah, why I'm doing it is in preparation for the longer flakes. So just short flakes right now. It gets rid of the delicate edge. Is it blurry or is it me? Let's see. It looks blurry to me. Hold on. Maybe it's I got dust on my glasses. I don't know. I think I have some dust on the glasses. I can't see. Anyways, I'm dulling. Basically, this is part of the dulling process. I knock off the delicate edge by downward flakes. You can also use a downward flake technique for sharpening. If you don't know how to sharpen and you're just brand new, you can do the easy peasy downward flake sharpening. It's not that great, but it works a little bit. But I use it to reduce the width at this stage, so I can drive in those longer flakes. It's a multi-step process because you'll see. I run a series of flakes down one side and then the other, flip it over, grind it, and then run another set of flakes, and then grind it again. And then I'm looking for opportunities to do thinning flakes after I do that process of downward flaking and grinding, downward flaking and grinding. Okay? The downward flakes, most of the time, are just short flakes. Once in a while, you get lucky with a long flake with this downward pressure. But like I said, it's lucky. It's not a technique for running long flakes. The downward pressure is just little flakes in most cases. And no, I didn't grind it, okay? So taking a shortcut. But in the perfect world, you have to grind it before each pass. But since I only have 35 minutes or 30 minutes to finish up, unless I go longer on the live stream, I don't have time to be persnickety. I can achieve results that are good enough. Is that blurry? It still looks, well, I don't know. Maybe not. Yeah, a lot of guys will say that they want to see the process of doing this, but they don't watch the pressure flaking. It's their loss. Pressure flaking is very important, even though it may be boring. For me, I don't like pressure flaking, but I cannot dismiss its importance. It's extremely important to the process. And if you don't watch the pressure flaking, you're missing out, because there's little subtle tweaks that make all the difference in your knapping. And if you skip it, you'll end up wondering why your knapping is not that good. See how it makes the edge so much neater? And I can see opportunities to thin it down. See where I can hit the edge to run a flake. And since the edge is a lot more robust now, I can either hit it with indirect percussion or use the pressure flaker. It's the same basic preparation for both. You know, for percussion or pressure, the edge treatment is very similar with just slight tweaks. I think I abrade it more with indirect percussion, but sometimes I don't. So it's very similar in preparation at this stage. In the beginning stages, you don't use pressure to create the biface in most cases, so you don't even have to consider the comparison there. This is where you mix them all together. The finishing stage is where you mix the percussion and the pressure together. And sometimes you can't tell a difference between if it's a pressure flake or a percussion flake. Same back in the day. I think they were using some kind of percussion during the final stages as well as pressure. We just don't know exactly how. We can guess, but we don't know exactly. All right, let's see. Let's take the gloves off since I'm not doing the pressure flaking. And I need to get feedback from this material so I don't mess it up. Okay, all right. Yeah, nice flake. How do you get long flakes? Number one, it's got to be very convex. Number two, you just got to get lucky. Yeah. Because sometimes they're very wide like that one. It has to do with the surface, how you prepare the surface. And if it's random surface, you're going to get random results. That's all there is to it. Yeah. How did they do it back in the day? Well, they did get lucky. That's one way. And the other way is they practiced it. They figured out, I don't know, with that material that they're using, they figured out what's the best way to grind it, what's the best way to prepare the edge, what's the best distance from the center line. Maybe they dropped the edge down a little bit more. Maybe they kept it at the center line. The tool tips, maybe they rounded the tool tip. Maybe they flattened the tool tip. Maybe they put a notch in the tool tip to create these flakes. It depends on the material, the knapper's ability, and the amount of practice, time involved. I could try to focus on nothing but long, narrow flakes, but I'm not into that style of knapping. If you want to learn that style, then look at the flake over grind people. Flake over grind, or fog knapping. Last time I tried to do a fog knapping search on YouTube, I don't think it came up with anything good. So I can't remember. Somebody might know a good search term for these flake over grind videos. They focus on long, narrow flakes, but you got to prepare the surface ahead of time on the workpiece by grinding. That's why they call it flake over grind. I can do long, narrow flakes on a material, but I have to work with that material for many days and try different techniques before I actually find something that'll give me long, narrow flakes. And it's not the same for all materials. Just because I can run long, narrow flakes on obsidian doesn't mean I can do the same thing on chert, for example, or on a heat treat. It's not the way I do it. I do it randomly. Random surfaces require different techniques. And a lot of fog nappers, flake over grind nappers, they don't deal with raw cherts and stuff. They try to work stuff that is very similar. So they'll work heat treats and obsidian and raw stuff that's easy to nap, or very similar to what they've been accustomed to, in order to get those long, narrow flakes. They don't just nap anything and get the same result. Okay. Now some of the advanced nappers, they have their ways of adapting to each type of material because they've been doing it a while and they know what to do to adapt. And some people have that natural ability of adapting. They just know how to adapt to and manipulate the material. Naturally, they have that instinctive talent that they know how to do something and how to tweak it to where they can adapt to the material relatively easily compared to everybody else. If you're one of those, then, you know, count your blessings, because you are blessed in that case. I can't do that. I can't adapt that quickly. I've got to try many things and then suffer for a long time before I get it. And then sometimes when I get it, I don't even obey my own rules because I don't like them. I don't want to have to keep abrading and abrading or removing little bitty preparatory flakes. I don't like switching back and forth from pressure to percussion and back again. I really don't like all this persnickety stuff. But you got to do it. Yeah. Is that it? That got most of it. Most of the obstacle there. For me, percussion is not as accurate as pressure, so I have to do at least a few passes of pressure to get it nice. But I thinned it down a little bit more. Yeah. I see some spots where I need to take some more flakes, though. Let's see. What time is it? I still got about 20 minutes. I might be able to get into the notching part and finish this out. Yeah, like that. No, this is not notching. I'm talking about, I'm going, yeah, like that, as far as the flake removal for the thinning. I'm trying to thin it still. It's working okay. It's making me nervous, though. As always, this is the hardest part. You can't always eliminate the bad luck, but you can try. Bad luck is when you break it, or sometimes you know, it's not bad luck, it's just bad technique, but sometimes it is bad luck. You have to defend against both bad technique and bad luck. The more you nap, the better you are at defending against that stuff. because you learn from mistakes. So you learn to do certain things to help eliminate the chance for bad luck or bad technique. One way to eliminate some of the bad technique is to be well rested before you start napping. Like these days, I don't nap at all until I'm well rested. And I can afford to do that because I'm retired. Before, back in the day, I could not always do that, and I was wondering, why can't I do it? Why can't I do it? It probably has something to do with not getting enough rest because your brain's not working right. You could be a very experienced napper, and if you don't have a good day, or if you were not able to sleep that night, your napping is going to suffer. And it doesn't look like you're doing anything different. What's different is your mental fatigue. And for some reason, that little difference can make all the difference in your napping. And if you can nap, well, with me, I can nap under almost any conditions. Tired or angry or cold, hot, whatever. But it will affect the napping. So I cannot be at my best unless all the conditions are best. I can't expect to do a beautiful job if some of the conditions are really, really cruddy. I knew this one guy that he was not able to do very much in the beginning. He just was about to quit. And he finally got a new air conditioner for his shop. And he says, after I got that new air conditioner, it was like a miracle, man. I could nap all day long. Just that little bit of difference in air temperature and an air conditioner that actually worked made all the difference. Yeah. He didn't have to keep monitoring and adjusting the settings and so forth and so on. Okay, so I think that's as thin as I want to go on video. I'm going to try to notch it. Yeah. Let's see. In the time I have left, I'm going to do a quick sharpening and try to notch it. Maybe a little more shaping. And then I'll try to answer the questions if there are any questions. Yeah, but this is obsidian. I don't know. Is it not easy to see? It's a mahogany obsidian, but it's a little bit dark as far as the color of the red. But yeah, it's obsidian. I started out with chert on that. I'll just finish that on some other live stream or some other video. I barely have enough time to finish this one. This one guy told me that he cringes every time I try to pick out these flakes with my fingernail. Yeah, I don't recommend it, but on something this small, those flakes are not going to jam down under your fingernail. They will if the piece is big. Yeah, don't get in the habit of trying to pick out those stiff fractures with fingernails when you've got a large piece. Just saying. Yeah. I hope that's in focus. All right. It's not that easy for me to nap in this view close up. The width is very confining. And for some reason, it looks like it blurs easily. So if I mess up, I'm going to blame the situation and not myself. Yeah. All right, so I'm going to do some adjusting of this. I'm going to make this base more concave, and then I'll do the notching. Okay? And this will give me some opportunities to run flakes to make it thinner for the notching. Yeah, I'm not even looking, not for this first step. And then I'll grind it. That way I can make longer flakes. Yeah, grinding helps you make longer flakes. Just as long as you don't push too hard, because you can snap the whole thing just by pushing on the bottom. It's got to be mostly inward pressure. Don't be pushing downward too much. It'll snap the whole thing. But inward pressure is okay. You just got to make sure the edges won't crush when you push inward. Make sure you guarantee. No? Yeah. You can't guarantee. Just try your best at, make sure the edge is good. But see, I overshot that. That's why I'm doing this before I sharpen the edges, because that happens. That overshots are mistakes. I think overshots are only good maybe 1% of the time. 99% of the time, overshots are bad. 1% you'll get lucky and say, hey, that overshot actually made it look better. 1 out of 100. I'm estimating. 1 out of 100 flakes. You'll have a fortunate overshot. Yeah. It's all, I've got to make sure this is not too wonky before I start the notches. I don't want to be repairing this or working on symmetry while the notches are in place. No. So it doesn't have to be perfect. I just want to get it close to the finished state, so I don't have to do too much of this later. I don't like that overshot. Yeah, it messed me up. On the real ones, they don't care about symmetry too much. But on these modern points, people don't like them without symmetry. It's got to have symmetry. And these, you can easily overshoot those. Same on the tip. Easily overshot it when you're doing this kind of trimming on obsidian. On other materials, it's not as much of a problem. Dang it, I broke the tip off. So I'm working on symmetry right now, and it's not it's not working out all that well because it's so delicate. I'm removing way too much sometimes. I don't know what it is. This might be getting dull. All right, so there you go. I'm going to start notching. Yeah. Well, let's see. A little bit more off the base. Make it more concave. Yeah, let's make it more concave. I don't want to do this when the notches are in place. It's better to know the concavity first. That's what you call strategy. This is very delicate. It didn't seem this delicate when I was using percussion on it. Somehow, it's acting really delicate now that I'm using pressure. Come on. All right. That's deep enough for now. So let's do the notching, right? So I'm just going to use this spatula tool that I was using a little bit earlier to pick out the step fractures. It's also good for notching. And I'm going to switch my glasses to a higher magnification. Yeah, my higher magnification glasses. With dust all over them. Obsidian dust and glass dust is not as hazardous as rock dust, just so you know. In the wintertime, I do a lot of obsidian knapping because I'm in an enclosed space. How do I do the notching? Very carefully. I crunch them in. And I make sure that there's no burr on the top of this steel. It's a steel nail that's been ground down to be thin. I try to take one big flake and then some little small flakes. So one big one, like that. And I check to see that it's a good pop out and not crushed. Do a lot of little ones to expand that notch a little bit at the bottom and dull it so it's not delicate. Flip it over and do a big flake. And check I didn't crush it. And I didn't remove a barb or something. See that pop out almost took off these areas, but I was deep enough that it didn't do it. If you don't wait until you're kind of deep in the notch before you start pushing off those big flakes, you're going to ruin the notch. You got to wait till you're deep enough to do those. Because you can see that pop out was almost to the edge. And if you're worried about those big pop outs, don't do them. Just keep trying the small flakes and just crunch it in. I like to try to get those big pop outs. They make it so much easier to keep driving the flake. Keep driving the notch, I mean. And then just work the sides to expand it. So you have an expanding notch, which looks cool. Yeah. I think the expanding notches are both practical and cool looking. Practical because it makes it easier to keep going with the notch. If you expand the bottom, it gives you more opportunity to keep going because there's more surface area to try and drive a flake. Instead of having to focus on one little area that can easily stall, if you widen the bottom of the notch, it's easier to pick a spot that can be used to remove a flake. Same back in the day when they were using little slivers of bone or slivers of antler or even alligator gar scales, anything that was tough. And yeah, they probably had little slivers of copper too, especially near the Great Lakes area of North America. They used little pieces of copper to do these notches. I guarantee, almost guarantee. All right, so I got in deep enough to do a pop out, and the pop out did not remove the sides. Almost. See how it almost did it? It's that sweet spot. You got to make sure that notch is deep enough to do that big pop out, because if not, it'll ruin the sides of the notch. Okay, all right. You just got to get used to it. I've been doing this for a while. And I don't always do it right. I just popped off. I just removed some of this side right there by accident. Yeah, it was not my fault. It was an accident. Yeah. I must have touched it with the flaker. So I'm going to drive it a little bit further. Obsidian is so much easier to notch than chert or flint. It's also easier to break off a barb or mess up the sides. So there's a little bit of a good and bad with obsidian. So I like the expanding notches like that. All right, then I'll just clean it up. Yep. So with a sharp pressure flaker, I gotta sharpen this. I'm gonna finish it up with sharpening flakes. Sharp point for sharpening flakes. Yeah. And the more you do these expanding notches, the better you can get at the narrow entry. I ruined this side's narrow entry, but that side's okay. I think I hit this with the tool. I think there was more of a point on that. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. It seemed like it. So the blade is kind of crude right now. I'm just gonna make it nice and neat with just short flakes, okay? And I've got my higher magnification glasses so I can do this, because it requires a little bit of focus. Mind focus, and got to be able to see. I don't know if you can see. So do the bottom nice and neat, and then the sides. want nice pops, snaps on the edge to remove flakes and not crushing. If it starts to crush, it's not sharp. If you are removing flakes from the edge and it's all crushy, that means it's not being sharpened. There's got to be nice, just snaps, like snap, snap, snap. Like that, snap. Snappy flakes. Not crushing. How do you prevent it from crushing? You got to be high enough up on the edge. If you're too low down on the edge, it'll crush. As an example. It'll also crush if it's not pointy enough. Yeah, I heard a little bit of crushing going on. Let me grind it a little bit. I think crushing also happens if you don't abrade it just right. But the majority of the time it's because the tip is getting too dull. Or what else was they saying? I don't remember. So this stage is where it can be broken. If you are using a flat pad, I have to use a pad that's a little bit domed, so the ends are not pushing against the pad when I'm doing this. If I'm trying to thin it down. And yeah, if the flake touches the pad, it does stop the flake when you're working with obsidian. So I got to make sure that I'm over the gap. But I can't be bridging it. I got to make sure that most of the pressure is going to be on this side, with this side floating. And then here, I don't need long flakes, so it's okay if it rests on the pad there. Again, the flakes have got to come off with a snappy sound. So this is just downward flakes to get it straight. I already thinned down the thick spots. You don't want to remove too much because you still got to do a pass. I still have to do a pass on that side. That's going to reduce some width. So I can't reduce all of the width right now. I see some thick spots, so I'm going to try to address those now. Before I trim it to be straight. Now that I have edges I can work with that are dull, I can try to drive flakes inward, but it's not that easy because it can break. All right, now I can trim it. Again, always with the snappy flakes, not crushing, not crunchy. And if you have to go up high on the edge, you got to go up high on the edge and push downward. It's easier with sharper tips to do this, the downward snaps. Okay, so that's straight enough. Now I got to dull it and then work with the other side. And it's not the same with each flake. There's opportunities to remove lumps. So I'm going to probably work both sides on this final pass wherever I see that it needs it to make it nice and neat. I want to take the gloves off, but these little flakes are going to be annoying. Yeah, so I'll leave the gloves on. I'm going to thin down areas that look thick before I sharpen it. It looks like I'm right on the edge, but I'm slightly above the edge when I pushed. I'm not right on the edge of this. I'm slightly above when I push these off. You know what I'm saying? Some guys are too high up on the edge when they push inward, and some guys are too low on the edge when they push inward. You've got to get that sweet spot where it's not too high up here and it's not too low right on the edge. It's got to be just above the edge when you push those off. Just above. Now, sometimes it changes with the length of the flake. The position of the tool changes with the length of the flake. Like I'm pushing like this because they're just little bitty flakes. But if they're bigger flakes, I change the angle like this and then push. So it's more like a prying motion this way with a longer flake, and more like a pushing this way for a shorter flake. This will pry it off, but the position of the tip is the same. It's slightly above the edge, and you pry it off if it's a longer flake. Short flakes, you can just pretty much hold it any way you want, but I like pushing it like this. That reduces the amount of force, so I'm not using too much force. This way there's a lot of force, and it could snap the whole thing. So this angle changes. This angle changes when pressure flaking, depending on the situation. Same thing with percussion, indirect percussion. That angle will change depending on the situation. And you always want to hear a snap and not a crunch, no matter what. Especially on obsidian. On chert and flint, sometimes you can't avoid the crunchiness, but on obsidian you can. You just got to figure out how much to abrade it, what the sharpness of the tool tip needs to be, and how much force to use at what angle. It's all experimentation. But I can tell you the position of the flaker, because I have found that that position is the same for most things. If that position of the flaker doesn't work for you, you got to try something else. Or just keep doing the same thing over and over again and see if it works. I'm assuming that if you find that it doesn't work, it means you tried it over and over and over and over again. It doesn't work over time. Don't just try 1 or 2 flakes and go, no, it's not going to work. You may need to remove 100 flakes before it'll work, and then you'll have this eureka moment or something. Oh, now I get it. So I'm using a combination of downward flakes and inward flakes, depending on the situation. I don't need to thin it right now, so I'm using downward flakes. You know, I still need to remove some width, so downward flakes if I don't need to thin it. Now I've got a step fracture near the tip here, which is unfortunate. I tried to get it out earlier, but I think I might be able to push on that with the spatula tool. But all this stuff near the tip is very delicate. I was able to push on that step fracture, but see how it scooped it out a little bit? Yeah, it scooped it out quite a bit. Well, it's not too bad. I just gotta be very careful around it because that's a weak spot now. It still doesn't look right. I don't know if that's a little spot of black obsidian or what. And you can do the downward flakes with the spatula tool also. You just can't do the inward flakes very easily with the spatula tool. Although I know some guys that use the spatula tool for everything. Inward flakes and downward flakes. I usually use the spatula tool on this only for downward flakes. Especially near the tip. There's still a little bit of an imbalance. I got to remove this right there. If I want that to be smooth, I got to remove this lump and that lump. How do you do that? It's almost microscopic. The area where you need to flake ends up being almost microscopic. Yeah, the gloves get in the way. See that? It caught onto the corner there. All right. And I'm going to dull it with the tool itself. Yeah, took off some of the tip. I dulled it with the tool itself, but it took off too much. Oh, let's see. If I grind it with the file or something, it's going to get too dull, and I'll end up removing way too much of the tip. If it's too dull, it risks it because I have to use a lot of pressure when it's really dull. All right, so now I got to fix that. So I'm just working my way down. It's mostly downward pressure. I'll do a series of flakes to thin it. Okay. So now I just got to work on the profile to make it symmetrical. Straighten it out. I'll do that with downward flakes. So I'm just going to make it symmetrical. Yeah, it's good enough. Good enough. It's compared to the other one. The other one made of chert, the heat treat. The heat treat chert I got thinner. Yep. But yeah, I didn't want to take a chance on this one. This is about as thin as I would want to go with the Mahogany Obsidian anyway. I've been known to get them a little thinner than this, but it's very risky. But the chert is stronger. It doesn't snap in half as easily. So they're comparable in thickness. Yeah. They're probably about the same ratio because the Mahogany Obsidian is a little bit wider. So the ratios are probably similar. But yeah, I can get this thinner overall because it won't snap in half as easy as the Obsidian. Yeah. I was just comparing the width of the neck. And let's see. I have some arrowhead foreshafts. Yes, I brought the foreshafts today. I want to see how it looks like on an arrowhead foreshaft. See if it fits. If it's thin enough. It's almost thin enough to fit in there. So what I could do to thin it down was just make the notch a little deeper at the bottom of the base. Run a flake or two in there. Let's see. Nah, I don't think that'd be a good idea. No. There's something weird with the with the obsidian right there. I don't want to put a lot of pressure on it. I don't know if it's a crack. I'll just leave it. But yeah, it'll fit. Mostly. It's still not thin enough. Like with the other one. The other one fits in much better. Yeah. You got a little bit of room. To get this one to fit, you either modify this, which I don't like modifying these because this is as thin as I want to go on this. This is an arrow foreshaft. I would try to get that thinner in the middle here by trying to run some more flakes, but it's kind of dicey, so I'm not going to go any further with that. So I'll just leave it like this. Yeah. If I had to haft it, I would just make another foreshaft. If I absolutely have to haft it, which I did, back in the day, you have to haft all of them. I'll just make another foreshaft and make sure there's enough wood on both sides. Because I can't thin this down in the middle anymore. Not safely. It's got this weird crack right there. And looks like a step fracture, yeah, but you never know. So I'm not going to mess with it. I tried running some flakes in that area, but they didn't go very far. Yeah. And on these arrowheads, I've seen both the wood above exposed and also level with the top of the notches. So either way, you can make the notch either deep or shallow for these. I've seen it done both ways on real artifacts. Sometimes you see a lot of wood exposed on the real artifacts, sometimes you don't. And the way you know it's centered is you spin it like this, and if the tip doesn't move, if this tip doesn't move when you spin it, it's centered. You got to make sure this doesn't move down here. Yeah, it's centered. Okay. You don't want to set this down on something and then spin it because it'll break the tip off. You don't want to do that. Nope, nope. Okay, I'm going to check the chat, and then we'll call it a day. It's already 4:20 something. Dang it, it's cutting into my lunch hour. No. Hey, Perry Ghost Ken, you made it. Prairie Ghost Ken made it at the end of the stream, and he says, hey guys, I'm ready. Right? You ready to be said goodbye to? X Section says, have you napped Rainbow Obsidian before? Yes, I have napped Rainbow. It's good stuff. It's most of the time I've noticed it's a high grade obsidian. Where is my rainbow? What do they do with my stuff? I had stuff sitting here waiting to be napped, and now it's gone. I had a piece of rainbow obsidian that I was napping on. Dang it. Anyways, the answer is yes, I've napped rainbow obsidian. Plebia says he wants it. Can't have it unless you buy it in the auction. Styly Designs looks good. Thank you, thank you. Talking about bison? Oh yeah, I gotta eat lunch. Let's see. Is that an Ishii point, by the way? That's similar to what Ishii would make, yes. I don't think his barbs were that pointy down here, though, on his. It's more like a Win2 style. Ishii made Win2 style. I don't think they were as pointy down here. Everything else is very similar, yeah. Let's see. Keith Callahan is here. Made it at the end of the live stream. It's already very late. Let me see. I'm going to end it in about 3 minutes or however long it takes me to look and see if there's any questions. Turning into a pointy sucker? Yes, it is. I made a very pointy one. Paleo Ken says that's always a good point to keep your pointy tool pointy to make pointy points. Ken is a funny guy. Snap, crackle, but no pop. Hey, and Doghouse. Danny is here. Barefoot Napper. Barefoot Napper is Danny, is also N Doghouse. Check him out. Check him out on Facebook. I was watching you make that Aztec weapon with the Georgetown blades on the sides. It's time to call it a night. Yes, yes. 5 to 10 inches of snow, says Gary. Yeah, it's raining right now here. There's a little bit of drizzle. I can hear it on the top of the shed. Let's see. Plebius just subscribed to some guys. Awesome. To Ferdo Joe and Doghouse. Good choice. I'm just checking to see if I missed a question. I think I got everything. Yeah, Macaweedle. Danny and Doghouse is making a Macaweedle. Bushy was sewing some knife sheaths. Marty's here. Hey, Danny, I watched your little video the other day. Yes, yes. Who's Bushy, says Plebius? Frodo Joe is Bushy. Ryan Stanberry says he notches with antler. Okay. Awesome. Come on. Keith says, great job. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks for the live today, says Jim Main. Not a question, but I wanted to say I like the close-up view on your last videos. Oh, cool. I'm going to be doing a lot more of those. Ross says, very nice job. Checking to say good night. See you all on Friday. Yeah, next live stream is Friday night live stream. I'll be using natural tools. Okay, I think that's it. We can call it a night. Got to run and feed my hounds. Yep. All right, I got to run too. Today is my day to work on stuff that's not napping stuff. And there's a lot. Okay? All right. We'll see you on Friday. Good to see everybody. Bye-bye.